And Ashton, this baby is not doing well.
No, Bob. Officials say that its health is not improving this evening. She's at Primary Children's Hospital in extremely critical condition, suffering from hypothermia and malnutrition. Now doctors are actively working to save her life. But a guy who was just coming to get his clothes confused the gas for the brake, and he drove right through, knocking the window down. Bob and Hope, it's clear this community is mourning. Several people have stopped by and left flowers, stuffed animals, and notes, and even these Spider-Man balloons. Police say what happened is the train engineer came around this blind corner and saw the children and immediately hit his brakes. The two older children, who were 7, jumped from the tracks, but the little one, the 5-year-old, just froze. They broke in the side window. Here you can still see the glass they left behind. And yesterday it would have been 8, 10, maybe even 15 feet in some places. Wind and lightning knocked down trees. This one's in the middle of the road. To give you an idea of scale, I'm 5'10", and this is about 24 feet tall, 29 feet wide, and 51 feet long. Graphic designers say red, white, and blue works, but you can build a brand around a bolder color. They even have their own trading cards. Check these out. That one's cool. We are in the middle of the action here. We're actually in Spring Glen, where the kids from the local church are working at Spring Glen Park. You can just see how much debris came rolling down here. Entire trees just piled up in the middle of the road. This park here used to be a sandbox. And if you walk with me across the street, you can see they're working with some heavy machinery over here. These were the homes hit hardest by the flood. Their yards used to be grass, now they're just mud. They've had to take out a lot of things from their basements. The mud, muck, and debris washed over roads in a matter of minutes. It really didn't take long for water to move through, but the mess it left behind will be a problem for weeks.
We're kind of notorious for flash flooding around here, so it happens, but I've never seen it back up the whole town like this. This is pretty unheard of, so.
Nearly an inch of rain fell in 20 minutes. The water came on so hard and fast, and help her, all people could do is watch as it flooded Main Street.
And just basically swished in and took all of the mud. We had about 6 inches total.
The water came through here with such force it ripped this door in half and flooded the basement. A woman trapped inside had to swim to the stairs to get out.
Everything down there was floating. I mean, TV, it was devastated.
Justin Wild heard his basement window burst and saw the mud fill to the ceiling in a matter of minutes.
We've lost a lot of them. So family heirlooms, we've lost a lot.
And with so much lost, the focus now is on salvaging what's left.
We're just sweeping out the mud, pressure washing the garage floor down, just to get it all pushed out, and then we'll regrade and level after.
But many homeowners say they found out after the storm they don't have flood insurance coverage. And even though the county expects federal assistance, it's help that feels very far away.
I've never been to a point in my life that I've felt absolutely hopeless, and that's where I'm at right now, especially watching the clouds. And it makes me wonder if all the efforts that I've gone through and done today, if I'm just going to be doing it again tomorrow.
He says at least this time they could try to prepare for whatever comes. That's the question on everybody's minds here. You can see over here, these ladies are going through some of the things they found in their basement, seeing what they can salvage and what they'll have to throw away. And this mud isn't going to be easy to get rid of. Check this out. It is now turning almost into cement, and this is at least a foot thick right here. They have a lot of cleanup to do. And now tonight, they're more focused on sandbagging and preparing for that next round of storms. Hope?
Well, it's hard to believe that all of this has happened just in the past 24 hours, that all this damage occurred. Any news on, how long they think it's going to take them to sort through all that stuff and get back in the house before the next round of storms?
You know, everybody's saying it's going to take weeks. Some people fared much better and they were able to clean it all out today. The roads are pretty clear. They were able to do that in a matter of hours, but this place isn't going to look normal for quite a while. Well, Hope, this is the perfect time to explain how it works, being that rush hour is upon us. So during their early morning commute, 4 of the 6 lanes head into the city, and then it switches back around for the evening commute. 4 of the lanes head back west, and in the time in between, it just stays normal. Still confused? Well, so's everyone else. If you're in a lane with a red X, you're going the wrong way.
Now I have to really focus.
The white arrows show where you can turn left. Yeah, that's right. No, left.
But now it's getting to be a much more confusing commute.
And if you're following a green arrow, well then, you figured it out.
Let's see, what's all this stuff now?
See, was that so hard?
But I think there's going to be a lot of accidents.
So it's not as confusing as it seems. At 6 o'clock in the morning, the lanes switch, so there are 4 so people can get into the city faster. And then at 3 o'clock, it switches back so people can get home faster.
Normally, people are used to look at the lane lines on the ground. Now they have to look above their heads a little bit in order to see where they need to be.
40,000 cars travel this road every day. It's congested, but the city couldn't widen the road.
We have too many businesses, too many homes. To widen this would have been extremely expensive.
So UDOT had to make do with what it had by adding a flex lane.
I think that'll save a lot of congestion in the long run.
Many drivers don't like the flex lane now, but if it means they'll get home faster, well then, they'll be flexible too.
I think it's a good idea. It definitely gets busy here during like rush hour, peak hours.
The $5 million project is expected to save every driver a couple of minutes coming and going, and it took about 3 years to build. Bob, Hope?
All right, but Ashton, it may take folks a little time to figure it out, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it's going to take me a while. I'm going to admit it. Maybe I shouldn't say this on live TV, but there are some red arrows, and I'm just not sure if I was supposed to go or not supposed to go, and I went. So, but you know, red means bad, and I know that.
All right, Ashton, thank you for your honesty.
Yeah, well.
We are in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, at the ice castles.
Beautiful ideas are often simple ones, like running water in sub-zero temperatures.
Minus 20 probably, give or take.
To build something that wouldn't naturally occur.
Yes, it's man-made in the sense that we kind of promote it. We put the icicles and we build these formations.
It's pulled apart and pasted together to look like something you've only seen in the movies.
It feels like being in a glacier or being inside the, Narnia castle or whatever.
It's like a fort made of ice.
And though the building materials are fragile, the structure is like concrete.
I'm breaking up the ice chunks so it's easier to walk on. You build it up all night and then you come back and smash it to pieces.
We have an ice farm where we grow thousands of icicles at a time, and we'll have people that harvest those and put them into bags for us. We'll add new ice to the structures and put more water on them when it's cold. We'll add a couple feet here and a couple feet there, and before too long, it's transformed itself over a week or two.
The ice is then planted.
Yeah, these are just super cool.
Layer upon layer to eventually become 40-foot castle walls.
And they're big and solid. It's a little bit of a challenge to kind of picture how it's going to grow, but it's also kind of fun.
This is just so cool. And to think it all got started in some guy's backyard in Pleasant Grove. It's really grown from there. They now have a couple of locations across the country, and they haven't ruled out the idea of coming back to Utah.
And I would recommend, if you had to choose, I'd come at night. That's me personally. Just because then you feel like you're nowhere else. You feel like you're in a different, in a different world almost.
Over the years, he's pieced together the right way to build it.
If somebody couldn't see it, it's one of those things that you would say a picture wouldn't even capture the detail of how pretty it really is.
I have never seen anything like it before. It's an amazing art form.
Most of the art happens overnight.
And they're easy to put them in any formation you want.
As the ice farmers plant the icicles and let them grow.
Walls can only go vertical for so long. We need to actually fill in this space in between them.
Like the ice, the operation has grown more complex. The castles that were once in Alpine and Midway
Sometimes when it gets this cold, they don't want to stick. They pop off as they freeze.
are now in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Now, to our defense, it was a good idea that we pulled out of Utah the year that we did, because had we tried to do one in Utah last year, it would have utterly failed because of the weather.
Christensen won't say where he plans to build next year. But even if the ice castles don't come back to Utah,
2 years in Midway were a lot of fun.
it's part of the inspiration that got him here. And that's the point. Ashton Goodell, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Highliners prefer Rock Canyon in Provo, but they've set up lines all over Utah. I followed them for 3 days as they tried to walk a line nearly 100 feet off the valley floor. It didn't take long to figure out it's not as easy as they make it look.
Wind adds a whole different element. It's so hard to walk a line in wind.
Pray to the wind gods.
I mean, you push through it and you walk the line because that's what we're here to do.
Why does it feel so weird?
Each rig usually takes an hour or more, and they don't know if it'll work.
I don't know, man.
Until they feel it.
With this wind, it's like walking, it's like walking on a rope during an earthquake, I guess.
After one walk, the wind forces them to call it a day. The Highliners are determined to get another walk in.
That's where we're rigging to right there.
Even in the rain. But they're not willing to take unnecessary risks.
There's a lot of media attention, a lot of the accidents in Moab and stuff like that. And that's why we all take a lot of time just to be super, super cautious, triple, quadruple check everything.
With that in mind, they pack it up before they even get started. This time they know on the hike up, it'll work.
Everything looks better now? Yeah. Cool. Today feels wonderful. And that affects your walk, because this sport it's 90% mental. You want to reset that for me.
We're double checking each other.
Cool.
You know, he checks my side.
It's actually pretty tight.
I check his side, make sure everything's locked and ready to go.
Highlining is all about trust, trusting the line, trusting each other, because it's 90 feet down, 60 feet across. Oh man, how am I gonna get back?
Ryan Robinson says before they became Highliners, they practiced closer to the ground on slack lines. Holy cow. But they say once you know what you're doing, it feels safer up here.
I'll take it in, but don't look down. 'Cause I'm on top of the world, eh? I'm on top of the world, eh? Waiting on this for a while now. Paying my dues to the dirt. I've been waiting this long, eh? Been holding it in for a while, eh? Take you with me if I can. Been dreaming of this since a child. I'm on top of the world.
The exposure is unbelievable when you're out there. But before any of that happens behind the scenes, everything that we do is to be calculated and safe and composed and careful. And so that's the part that I think a lot of people don't see when they look at these videos online, and they just see people hucking themselves off of 400-foot drops onto rope swings.
We do a lot of things, and out of all the activities that we do, whether it be climbing, canyoneering, skydiving, setting up rope swings, highlining is by far the most terrifying for me.
This coming from a guy who was the first to run off the Corona arch swing in this popular YouTube video.
All right, get back, relax, and grab yourself a beverage.
Well, yes, there has to be a little bit of crazy going on here, but the thought process, the mechanics of the setup of the line it's impeccable. It's perfect.
The Highliners say they teach each other and share whatever knowledge they have.
Throw your other leg over the line just like your right leg is.
Because they say their actions speak so loudly, nobody can hear the obvious warning. of the dangers involved.
People are realizing, oh, I can go out and get some webbing and some rope and some carabiners and rig some extreme stuff. But it's not like that. You definitely have to do your homework and go around for a couple of years. Like I said, I've been doing this about 3 years, and I still feel like an amateur.
Highlining is dangerous, but not illegal in Utah's canyons. The experts recommend people start on slack lines and always go out with an experienced canyoneer. In studio, Ashton Goodell, Fox 13 News, Utah. The plane came off this runway, but the pilot didn't get the lift he needed. And though from the air this park would likely look like a flat, nice place to land, when he came up on this berm, he pulled a hard right, which caused him to bounce onto this soccer field about a half-mile from the runway.
Witnesses watched as the plane, heavy with fuel, struggled to take off.
Immediately I knew he was in trouble because he just wasn't gaining altitude.
As the landing gears went down, people on the ground called 911, saying a plane was about to crash.
I never got any higher than 40, 50 feet off the ground, and the initial hit was pretty hard where it bounced, and then it went down and on its belly.
The 3 passengers inside couldn't get out. Witnesses say 2 women were moaning in pain and the pilot was unconscious.
We were here at the right time. It just clicked in. We did what we had to do.
What they had to do was pull them out of the wreckage quickly before the fuel caught fire and the plane exploded.
I got the wife out, the right passenger, out of the plane first. She was the closest one. So I grabbed her, I unbuckled her. Then I ran back to the plane and where 2 guys were already trying to get the pilot out, but at that time the plane really got engulfed in flames. And I jumped in as well, and all 3 of us pulled him out and then dragged him to safety.
But in this case, thank heavens that these people were willing to put themselves at risk to help this other family, because certainly with the injuries that have been described and the fire that ensued, it's easy to say that, yeah, some lives were saved by the quick action of these people.
Aviation experts say from the look of it, the pilot only had a few seconds to react and made a quick decision to land in the empty park.
There's a vulnerable point right there, and that's why whenever you're flying, you try to take off and get as much altitude as possible, so if you do have an engine out, you can return back. And it happens, but it's very, very rare.
I think it could have been much worse if this was a Saturday. All the kids and the parents here, it was far a better situation than it could have been.
The father and mother and daughter are expected to survive. They're from the Boise area and were on their way home. Live in West Jordan, Ashton Goodell, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And I saw Sergeant Kelly, who's in the report there in his fatigues. Was he? I know there's an Army presence or a National Guard presence there at the airport. Was he on duty there?
He was actually on his way to work at Camp Williams. He was stopped at a stoplight. He noticed that something wasn't quite right with that plane, so he rushed over to the park. But he says his training really kicked in and helped in this situation.